All right, guys. So for the first time, we have 5 microphones in use, and Angelina has the privilege of having the stick mic to hold in her hand. It's a Phoenix team here, minus Leah. She's got an appointment, but we're here with Angie and Morel, Craig, and Maddie here, the Phoenix team that put together this wonderful new issue, the January-February issue, Dine Around the World Without Leaving the Valley. Let me start first with Morel on the cover. Morel, fantastic cover. I know you gave me so many options to post on social media. People love the Greektown option. Why did we decide to go with the blue and Hana on the cover?
Well, I think it was the favorite among like our business team, right, and Molly. I liked it. I liked all of them. But I think for this, it just has the technical base for like clean reading. It's a beautiful composition. The colors are really nice. I think, and it's just an elegant shot with some really nice colors.
Sure.
You know, and it's Hana. I had down kind of wanted Hana on the cover.
Yeah, you're the cover photog this month. Congrats.
Thank you.
I know there's always a lot of pride that goes into that, right? Who lands the cover?
Yeah, it's always exciting. I'll never get tired of having an image of my own on the cover. But Grace Koski and Debbie Volvos and Rob Ballard and Kyle Ledebauer, they all contributed, and Brian Goddard, my predecessor, and even Angelina here did some nice work. So it's fun, yeah. There were a lot of good options.
So the cover, obviously, Dine Around the World Without Leaving the Valley. Let's get into it because Craig wrote it's the largest feature, largest reporting endeavor this magazine has ever gone into. Tell me kind of where that started, because was it always that kind of vision to just go big and bold on this kind of a feature, or did you want to start smaller? And how did it get to be where it's nearly 50 pages in the magazine?
Yeah, it's 48 pages. Well, January is always a peak, and you cycle through the best ideas pretty quick. So we did Eat Around the United States last year. We found a state food for all 50 states and a place in the valley where you could restaurant where you can get that state food. For instance, the easy one, low-hanging fruit would be the lobster roll, or Maine or Massachusetts. Probably Maine.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right.
One of those two.
Sure.
So that's an easy one. We, sometimes it was more difficult. California has a bunch of state foods, like the Chinese chicken salad, and I found a plate. So anyway, we did that, and then we thought, well, why not do a global version of it? And it was the same premise: find interesting international cuisines. Where can you find them in the valley? And that didn't have to be a 48-page feature, but kind of early in the conceptual process, we were like, well, let's go and find every country we can. And, for some countries, that's not especially meaningful. There are plenty of French restaurants, plenty of Italian restaurants. Lord knows, plenty of great Mexican restaurants. We've done covers on each of those before, but the more interesting part of it was, are there any good Latvian restaurants or Liberian restaurants or, Laotian restaurants in the valley? And
yeah, find those on a map and
right.
then see if we can find them here in the valley.
See if we can find them in the valley. What's a food that you would find in Laos? And then it just became a huge. It just kind of evolved and exploded in our faces. Like, there's a lot of countries. There are over 200 countries in the world, and we ended up finding cuisines for 99 of them. And for the countries that we've already explored, China, for instance. Got more regional. Everybody knows where to find a good kung pao. That's not. But what about lesser known regional cuisines in China, in the northeast, for instance, dongbang region? So
yeah, a lot like Mexico has different food
Mexico
regions.
Has different regions.
Sure.
For instance, Oaxacan food, not necessarily what people know. They usually know Sonoran restaurants. They know places, with tacos or kind of these kind of more general Mexican restaurants. But what about places that really focus on a regional style? Food from Chiapas, the border in the south. So that was kind of our mandate, and it was a huge undertaking. We split it between 4 writers, and it we bit off more than we could chew. Was what
I like
said.
it.
Yeah, they were like,
Any leftovers from any of that?
lots of leftovers, man. I had some tasty leftovers.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Morel brought
That
in
was
some.
amazing.
What was it? It was like a conch.
Conch curry.
It was a conch curry from a Caribbean restaurant.
Yeah.
I think
the
it
Caribbean
was
palm.
like Bahamas, maybe. It was
Yes.
the Bahamas
Mhm.
dish, and it was great. And I had it for a couple days in the fridge upstairs while I was doing, editing the rest of it. And it was just, it was a really consciousness raising experience. Obviously learned a lot. Leah, the managing editor, her territory, if you will, was Eastern Europe, and she found out there were like 5 or 6 different names for the cabbage roll. 5 or 6 different countries embrace that as one of their national dishes, and she found how that changes, the nuances change between countries, the name changes, that kind of thing. There were all kinds of interesting reveals that we stumbled into while researching and reporting this, and it was a lot of fun.
So you stopped on 99. Was there an opportunity to continue going to that, or did you just kind of run out of options? Were there any like countries that maybe you sought out that we just don't have here in the Valley?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're disappointed that we couldn't find.
Absolutely. That was part of it too. 30 years ago, there were a lot of things the Valley was missing in terms of its dining culture. Now, less so. There are, it's filled in a lot, but there were a few that we couldn't find, and we make a note of that in
Sure.
the feature. Like Indonesian, it's a pretty prominent cuisine internationally. On a personal level, my grandparents lived there when I was a kid. I visited a couple summers. It's the first real spicy food I ever had. But there is no Indonesian restaurant in the Valley. There was actually 30 years ago when I moved here. There was this great little place in Chandler. But now there isn't really. So when we ran into that little block wall of, dining availability, we'd make a note of it and have kind of fun with it in the issue. There isn't necessarily there isn't an Indonesian restaurant. There isn't a Eritrean restaurant, that kind of thing. So we didn't, there were some countries are so remote and obscure that we didn't necessarily make a note of it in the feature. But when we found something that we were surprised, for instance, that there wasn't a cuisine available in Finland, we'd make a note of it, let the reader know. So
The podcast is big in Finland, so if you're watching or listening,
sorry, friends,
there's a market open for you. And you have a lot of interviews. Check out all the interviews with the chefs that are in there, because they all have great stories when you talk to them. Did you find that in talking to them that they're originally from those countries, or that maybe they grew up here with family and they learned that cuisine? What's kind of what would you say the story is there?
Usually we'd find natives. Like Maddie, our associate editor, interviewed a guy from Jordan, and he owns a Middle Eastern restaurant. And that was our Jordanian pick.
And I think that interview in particular was really enlightening because we talked a lot about the tradition of Jordan meals and cooking and eating. And, obviously I learned a lot about the cuisine that I didn't know before, but I also learned about the country and him and his pride for his country and his food and his family. So those kind of little personal tidbits are one of my personal favorites in the whole.
Yeah. So they learn over there and they build up enough to come over here and then bring their talents here.
I mean, it's sort of an immigrant story, this feature in general.
It's not someone that suddenly learned through
Right.
cooking school in Scottsdale that, I can learn Jordan cuisine and bang it out,
That wasn't the fun part. We didn't want to find a kid who grew up in Gilbert and then discovered a love for Jordanian food and interview him.
Yeah.
That would, hey, he grew up in San Dimas and now he does, Mexican food. No, we, mostly it was the chefs we found were, exercising their native art, culinary art. There were a couple interesting twists on that. For instance, there really isn't a Hungarian restaurant in the Valley, but there is this great Hungarian/German restaurant called Edelweiss. And the couple that owns it were both born in Hungary. And they do amazing Hungarian cuisine there and great German food. But one of them, he actually moved from Hungary, grew up in Germany. So, their whole story was just a complete mishmash of those two cultures. And that was kind of neat. Yeah, generally these are, there was a language difficulty a lot with,
Oh, sure.
with some of these chefs, so that was kind of a fun challenge as well. And it did, like for instance, Nikki Buchanan, our dining critic, did a big portion of this feature, and she had China was one of her territories, and she interviewed two owners / chefs from Chu's in the East Valley, which is they do a northwestern Chinese cuisine, northern Chinese cuisine, and that was it was a bit tricky at times, but that was part of the the challenge and the fun of this was to fight through those communication barriers and do these folks justice.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Go around the room. Start with Angelina. Top recommendation from what you either wrote about or took pictures of from this feature, Dine Around the World.
I would have to say Quesazon in downtown Phoenix.
And they do what? Is that Colombian? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
They have delicious empanadas and ceviche and plantains. Just everything was so good and fresh. And the owners are really nice too.
They are
I like it.
People. And the ceviche there is, we all have an idea of what ceviche is from our trips to Rocky Point and that kind of thing. It's completely different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Morel?
All right, this is tough. I want to say Hana, but everybody knows how great Hana is. So I'm going to say Cubanitas because they've pretty new. They've transitioned from a food truck like Quezon, did I say, into a bricks and mortar.
And they're in Glendale, is that right?
They are either in Glendale or North Phoenix, but they're off of
Gotcha.
Peoria and I want to say like 43rd
Okay.
Avenue.
West Valley,
Don't
yeah.
quote me
Okay,
on that.
Northwest
West Valley,
Sure.
definitely West Valley. They're close to my neighborhood, which I appreciate. But the owners, Angel and Linus, who is Cuban. She's the chef. They are just the most adorable couple, and the food is amazing. They have the traditional staples like the Cuban sandwich and the ropa vieja. They have a milkshake. It's got its own name, and I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. They have coffee with every meal, which I found interesting, and they have a pizza oven. So they make Cuban style pizza as well. So I'm going to go back soon and kind of investigate that little detail and learn more about it.
I'm glad that restaurant's in town too. There was a great Cuban place for a long time on Camelback. What was it called? I had my first ropa there, but it closed like a decade ago. And I don't know if there were other restaurants that were doing kind of Cuban cuisine here and there, but no, I don't think any other dedicated Cuban restaurants. So yeah, glad they're here. It's just that was the joy of doing this, is finding little restaurants. I guess for me, there are two I'm going to pick. We found out there were a couple of Yemeni restaurants in Tempe. Not just one, two. And they both have similar names.
They like each other? Do we know?
I think there might be a rivalry there.
Okay.
They're both called, one was called YS Mondi. That's near the campus. The other one's called Mondi House. Mondi is a chicken dish that's very similar to tandoori chicken, the Indian dish that we're familiar with, named after the oven they cook in. And they cook theirs in a oven that's almost identical to a tandoori oven. Because Yemen, hanging out there right over the Indian Ocean, has a lot of Indian cuisine. So that for me was like, wow, I didn't even know any of this. And who knew there were two restaurants from Yemen in Tempe? Apparently they were both owned by the same guy at one point. He flipped one. Now that one's YS Mandi, close to campus. It's run by an Ethiopian lady. So, it's just all a big mix, and it was fantastic. The chicken was delicious. It was like crispy on the outside. Delicious. They also had this one stew there at Mondi House. And both of these places are not impressive on the outside. They look a little, shop worn on the outside. One of them, I think, is in an old Long John Silver. That's Mondi House, and it's on Apache. And, driving by it, you would not think there's this beautiful little restaurant inside where you can sit on kitchen floor, have this amazing stew called a fasa, which is the lamb stew with tons of turmeric. You just smell it, coming from a mile away. There's all these beautiful, fragrant spices, bubbling hot. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, there's a place north central Phoenix called Taste of Honduras. It was the one, it was one of a handful of Honduran places I found. They had this great soup called sopa de caracol, Again, it was like conch, which is sea snail, but it tastes more like conch. And it was a coconut soup with citrus aromatics. It reminded me a lot of the tom kha gai, the Thai soup that you see a lot. And that to me was like crazy because they don't have anything cultural in common, very little of any. Thailand and Honduras, but they both kind of occupy the same, latitude. So they both have access to coconuts and other, citrus, that kind of thing. So they have this very similar soup. I thought that was fantastic. Two countries kind of joined by the fruits of their environment.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the sitting on the floor on the cushions, because it's not just food that they're bringing over. It's also kind of the dining experience in a lot of these places, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. The customs.
Sure. Maddie?
Well, I was just going to say, kind of piggybacking off of Craig, and he mentioned EdNote, that food is this universal language. The overarching theme of this entire feature is food is what brings us together. And so I am going to shout out Fata Morgana.
Yay, I'm so glad.
Just because when Morel and I went to go shoot there, we just felt right at home. Like they welcomed us in, like we were part of their family. And with each dish that they brought out, the manager Eli kind of explained a little bit about the ingredients in each dish and a little bit about how he would eat it growing up. That was for Israel, and so we did 4 dishes for that one. One of them was falafel, which I was like a little bit iffy about because as a vegetarian, that's kind of my like main
jam.
I mean, I'm not a falafel gal. Like I've always been kind of weary of it because it's either like too dry or it's like it has to be that perfect mix of like moist and crispy and seasoned right. I don't know. There's a lot of factors.
She's a falafel snob. You can admit
no,
it, right?
I'm not at all. I just like I don't know. Typically, it's not like what I go for on a menu, but
sure.
I might say that Fata Morgana has one of the best falafels in the valley.
I second that.
Might be a hot take, but it's delicious and it completely reversed my, I don't know, falafel.
We should do a falafel showdown between that place and the one that comes to some of our food events.
Casa de
Casa
Falafel.
de
Casa de Falafel, which
Yeah.
has,
Oh, yeah.
according to like Yelp, I think they, did a Yelp ranking. It was one of the top 10 falafels.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've heard very good things about that falafel.
Let's do a falafel, taste test for the next Best of the Valley issue.
I am down.
The falafel
So here
feud.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of an alliteration.
Get
Falafel feud.
Steve Harvey to come host, right?
I'm so excited. Yes, let's do it. Everything there was fresh. Like a lot of the seasonings and herbs that they use. Presentation, beautiful. 10 out of 10. We were there
Where
for
is that
like
restaurant?
2 hours. It's in North Scottsdale, in a little strip mall storefront. Again, one of those places where outside you wouldn't really. It's unassuming is the word I will use, and then when you go in, I don't know, and it's it's pretty, like I wouldn't say it's cozy. Like they don't have a lot of like banquettes and like rugs and stuff. Like it's pretty fair as far as like decor, but it's really warm as far as just like the energy in there. If that makes sense.
Is it up near the 101 or?
It's by Scottsdale and just north of Shea
Okay, sort of
on
mid
the
north.
west side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Right
list
where
all
Handlebar
those in
J's
the
in that
issue, right?
complex.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we list all those in the issue, where to find them, and if they have websites. It's always so kind of funny to me when restaurants don't have websites, but
Yeah, and this
I
day
get
and
it.
age.
When you're small and maybe you're just getting into it, or you've been doing it a while,
We have a whole.
you don't rely on web, right?
We have a whole game plan built around, and restaurants don't have websites.
Right.
Then we go to their Facebook page, and if it's one of those Facebook addresses where it's just Facebook/Fata Morgana, then we're like, oh, good, we can just kind of copy and paste that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of numbers
Right.
attached.
But if we're not getting any love there, then we just relent and we just put the address and phone number in, and hope for the best.
Sure. All right, so no more turning to the Google for where to find. Just go to the issue. Go to Dine Around the World. 99 different countries.
That's right.
Well done, guys. Let's stick with Maddie and change gears to her winter getaways in the Southwest feature. You open it up and you see Death Valley right away. Is it the best time to visit Death Valley right now?
Well, so the thing with that feature is that obviously the idea was that we wanted to focus on winter travel, but we wanted to think a little bit outside the box, right? And so we had a few leftover, or I don't know, places that we had gone that we needed to write about. So Jessica Dunham, she wrote about Death Valley. I wrote about Zion National Park, which I didn't go in the winter time, but
You went on the Under Canvas,
Yes.
which is like a kind of a glamping
Yes.
service.
Yes. So, and that was like one of the coolest media trips I've ever been on.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I don't know. So there's two types of like media trips that we go on when we're hosted by, a travel bureau, or we like go on our own, or we go with other journalists, and it's kind of like a set media trip and we have an itinerary. So that was with other journalists around the country. And I don't know, we just all got along super well, which is always good. You never know like how you're going to get along with these strangers that are also like writing about it for their publication.
And it's not too cold in Bryce Canyon or
No,
Zion?
it was, we biked through Zion. We rented e-bikes, and that was a really cool way to see it. If you've never been to Zion, there's a bus that goes through this really, really large national park, so you can't really walk through it. But biking is kind of a cool alternative. You get some fresh air.
High desert, right? It's not super hot in the
It's
summer.
it's really, really nice weather, really all year round, and it is kind of one of those year-round.
I bet it's nippy right now.
destinations.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's like a little
It snows
But
in there.
snow on the
Sure.
That's the cool thing
ground.
about these tents, though, from Under Canvas. I stayed in one up near Page. I mean, they are tents, but they're large tents. They're very durable, and they have these wood-burning stoves inside of them.
Yeah.
So you can really heat the place up, and they're open during the winter.
Yeah, and it's super cozy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Some of them are getting to be the point where they're almost like hotel rooms that are just
They really
under.
kinda are,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely luxury camping.
Yeah.
Nice linens, comfortable bed.
Oh yeah, and that
Like
was kind of one of
plumbing and for bathroom and all that. Yeah.
full on working bathrooms, which was super nice. The creature comforts, I wrote about that in the feature as well. Kind of like that happy medium between rustic and luxurious. And I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love just kind of being in nature. So it was a really cool kind of experience.
It's good to know that there's more than just because my mountain biking friends always talk about Zion, and that's all I've known it for. So good to know that there's more to that area that for non-mountain bikers like myself. We also write about the three Arizona ski resorts: the Mount Lemmon, Sun Bowl, or Snow Bowl, and Sunrise. Any kind of preferences that you guys have, one or the other? Is there one more picturesque in your opinion, Morel? Do you think?
I'm gonna go back to Sunrise so bad
Yeah,
right now.
that's always my
Oh,
pick.
I love that place. It's not as busy as Snowbowl, and I love
Right.
Snowbowl too. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about this remoteness and just the way it's close. Like I think the cabins are more affordable in that area too. Like the whole thing.
Hospitality is kind of a tricky thing up there because there isn't I don't think there is a hotel service at the resort. So the tricky there is to find, a nice place nearby. We found an interesting option. One of the restaurants, and we mentioned them earlier, Edelweiss, which is that German-Hungarian hybrid restaurant in Phoenix. The couple actually owns a guest ranch in Greer, which is not too far. Yeah, we put that as a sidebar in Maddie's story.
Sure.
Cool.
But so you can actually go there and have the same food. They have the same menu there. You can have this really awesome German and Hungarian food. It's great when you're in and stay there. And they have this, 9 units or something. Anyway, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I want to do that if we go back to Sunrise.
I like
Put
it.
it out.
Plenty of good features in the magazine. One that kind of stood out to me, and Maddie kind of hinted at it, was the how you guys go on press trips. And Leah decided that she wanted to experience Phoenix from a press trip perspective. Now, give us a little bit of insight about what press trips are like when you go away, and because Leah's been on them too, and she's not here but to talk about it, but she decided she wanted to experience her own city that she's grown up and lived in her whole life, from how Phoenix treats like media from elsewhere, other countries and things like that.
She
So
met some Canadians
yeah.
on this one.
yeah. So what's that like? What's that? I mean, I've been on a press trip to Flagstaff, and they wine and dine you and everything.
Sure,
They
yeah.
put you up, and they. I just went on the beer trail one,
Right.
so it's pretty, I guess, locked down of what you're
Beer-focused, yeah,
seeing.
right.
You know, what have you guys experienced in your press trips that maybe stand out that maybe you'd want Phoenix to kind of emulate or duplicate or copy?
Well, I mean, usually they try to hit the greatest hits. So
Sure.
if you that's generally I think the playbook.
Yeah.
And that's the playbook I think Leah found, but yeah, I mean, it's for her it was seeing the valley through the eyes of people who aren't familiar with it, and we thought that was a great fit for a winter issue, because this is the season where people generally don't want to leave the valley because how the nice weather. I mean, when we travel, we're traveling in the summer. I mean, for obvious reasons.
For sure.
Dodge when it's 100 degrees. But yeah, she found, she wanted to see what they see. And do you remember any of the details from her?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is a lot of, not all, but a lot of press trips tend to have a theme. So like you were mentioning, like the beer trail in Flagstaff. I went on one a couple years ago, and it's much more kind of fleshed out now. But for Phoenix, so Leah went to both Phoenix and Scottsdale. She worked with their travel bureaus, and I believe the Phoenix one was art and walkability in downtown Phoenix, which if you've been downtown lately, it's pretty apparent. You can walk around and look at public art, and she went to a couple of the museums. And I think what was cool is that they highlighted a couple of our famous restaurants, Pizzeria Bianco being one of them, which she admitted to us and our readers that she had never dined in at that location, which is understandable. It's very intimate, always crowded, so good.
Long wait.
Yeah,
unless
but
you get there early.
That was kind of a really cool, kind of experiencing things that you might not get to do or want to do, as you mentioned, long waits and just no time, stuff like that. And just kind of seeing.
We went to
your own
Barrio
city.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Barrio Cafe.
Yeah.
These are the places I would recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there the Japanese Friendship Garden, the Phoenix Art Museum? These are good.
I think that Japanese garden is probably my spot that I would say I need to go to, that I haven't ever been, that I've been kind of kicking myself. I need to go there. Is there a spot like that around Arizona or around the valley that you guys have that, like, man, I've lived here so long, I just have never done it? Morel?
Thompson Arboretum. I just
that's
went
out.
there the first time last week.
Yeah.
That's out in Superior, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
So it's not in the valley.
It's close. It's sort of quasi-valley. Yeah. On the way to Globe, Miami. That is a cool town. Superior's awesome. Boy. What's that that odd building on the hill in Tempe as you pass the airport? It's called, is it Tovria Castle?
Oh yeah, the castle, yeah.
I've never been to Tovria Castle. For someone who's been here 25 years.
Same. Yeah.
Gotta go.
Field trip.
That's my.
How about you, Angie? You got any bucket list items in Arizona you just haven't got around to?
Mine would have to be Mount Lemmon. It's not that far of a drive, and I see all these beautiful pictures, but I've never made that drive yet, and so I should probably do that soon, maybe on a weekend.
I think it's great in the summertime because they have great cabins. They have you can take like the gondola up there and do that whole thing, and it's kind of almost like that picturesque kind of Colorado mountain town kind of feel to it, with fun lodges and restaurants and people just walking down the street and shopping and eating and all that. Yeah,
exactly.
You've been to Casanti? That's another place Leah visited on her trip. The art commune that Palasolari founded, and they do the Casanti bells.
Yep.
That's I think one that everyone should check out.
Up there on your way up to Prescott, you mean?
No, that's Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's her. That's
Just Casante here in Paradise Valley.
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
his
yeah.
old, he lived there. He had like his proteges would live there. It was very groovy.
Yeah, they
60s
do.
style. I'm not going to comment on what else went on there, but
Since
they created
do
a lot of bells.
Yeah, since they do a lot of
Has a lot of bells and
Passed a
whistles.
lot of, concrete.
they do a lot of work on our home and garden tours.
Mhm.
That's
and
true, yeah.
So I've passed by there plenty of times because of that, and it always impresses me when you go by there that that's just sticking right there in Paradise Valley as you're touring these homes and gardens. So.
Yeah, it definitely makes PV more interesting. Have it there, no question. A little less uptight. So yeah.
Yeah, that was her first time going there too. I remember she mentioned that to me, and she did say that she wanted to go to more museums because she really liked that experience. She was just like, I need to get out there more. And I was like, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another place she went that she had never been before was Wonder Spaces, which
Oh,
she
yes.
mentioned in the article as well, that she kind of had this of it. Like it was just kind of this like surface level photo shoot influencer type place. And it was a lot deeper than that.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of
for
really
sure.
cool art. Like obviously when you go to a museum and you see beautiful things, you want to take pictures. And I think like on social media, it is kind of, you just see the pictures of people posing in front of these things, but she really liked it, and I trust her judgment as far as like arts and culture and food. Like she's a very refined palate when she was here, but she'll listen to this later, and hopefully we're doing her article justice.
Yeah, we all encourage Leah to get out and do some more Arizona stuff, Leah, right?
So we can live vicariously
I
through
know,
her.
right?
Report back. Good segue into all the other great regular features that we write about, our people profiles, spotlights on local shopping, businesses, and our calendar of events. And I bring that up. I wanted to get your guys' number one or what you're most excited for a local event coming up in 2024. Go ahead and start us off there, Angelina.
I'll go ahead and start this one since I do the calendar every month. Every year this event happens and I always seem to miss it. Like once we're done with the magazine, I kind of just forget about everything that we just put into it and all the events that go with it. But it's the Arizona Balloon Classic. It's coming January 26th through the 28th. That's where they release all these hot air balloons, and it just seems so cool. And I can actually take some pictures for next year.
Is that
City
the one
Guide.
they have out in the West Valley?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they do it out of Goodyear Ballpark, maybe, if I remember right.
I think so. I just always look at all the pictures
Yeah,
and stuff, and I see some of them, and I'm just like, oh, I could probably take
Goodyear.
Goodyear, there you go.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Goodyear Ballpark.
That's perfect because I'm in
Looking it up
Avondale,
in
so
the magazine details
15
in there.
minutes. Yes. Definitely want to go there.
Those are always cool events, man. My grandma used to love doing that in the where they had the Albuquerque one. That's like the biggest one in the world. So
super cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
You ever go up in one of those?
I have. It was such a fun experience. Something I highly recommend. It was on my bucket list, and I did it, and it was great. But now I would just want to go see more of them.
Right on.
So.
Right on.
Sounds
Morel.
like fun. The car show's coming up, hands down. I'm so excited about Barrett Jackson in a couple weeks, and then the Meekum, who I've never been to the Meekum one. That's in Glendale in March. So I'm not quite sure what to expect there. Cool cars is enough for me.
Yeah, that
to
one's
be
always
happy,
at State Farm Stadium. It's a way different crowd, I would imagine.
Really? Have you been to it?
No.
Yeah, I'll let
To
you know.
Meekum?
Meekum,
Yeah,
yeah.
I went. Great. I mean, it is different than a little less sprawling than.
Are there
Barrett
cool cars?
Jackson.
Yeah, are there cool cars? That's the criteria
Fairly
right
cool.
there.
Fairly
And
cool.
obscure, rare cars, weird cars, like cars that
love
they
weird
made
cars.
one of, maybe, and
Uh-huh.
I love those things. So
Right.
yeah,
The
good
Yugo,
weather.
it was a Yugo supercar from the.
Oh,
I'm
really?
kidding. No, I'm totally joking.
I
There's no
forgot
Yugo.
if I saw
Yugo.
that.
They'll have like movie cars or TV show cars.
Yeah,
that
that's
are-
cool.
Like the
Really cool.
DeLorean from
Yes.
Back
Yeah.
to the Future.
Yes.
Or like
Oh,
the
may I be so lucky.
Mutz Cuts van from Dumb and Dumber. I remember that from a
I've
couple
seen
years
That
ago.
thing still exists.
Yeah, they
Oh
have
my
it at Barrett
gosh.
Jackson.
You know
It's
what? My
hilarious.
friend's house is in the background in the movie when they filmed that, when they drove by with the mud.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Hmm.
Anyway, fun little tidbit
Right
there.
on.
Salt
Craig,
Lake
what do you
City.
got?
I can't believe no one's mentioned Phoenix Magazine's Dish Fest.
Oh,
That was mine.
Yeah.
Be mine.
I guess there's two
No
levels.
shameless
Like,
plug.
what, Cities West media event are we looking for? What out of company media or event? So yeah, Dish Fest.
Dish
in-
Fest is
in
always
March.
awesome, and I'm not as much of a foodie as y'all, but I love Dish Fest. Just
Great.
it's such a great crowd. It's always a great day. It's March 17th this year. It's a Sunday. It's
I
St.
was gonna look
Patrick's
it up on
Day.
my phone here.
It's St. Patrick's Day, so
Oh, boy.
that
Green.
might just add a little bit more interest to certain people out there.
Maybe alcoholic abandon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we always
because
have a great
unlimited,
beer garden.
Unlimited wine and beer there.
Yeah,
too,
always a
so,
great beer garden there, and wine and spirits, all local.
yeah.
Do we know any restaurants confirmed yet? I know we're working on it,
Offhand,
but
I don't. I'm not not my bailiwick.
Okay.
But yeah,
I know we're
there's gonna be some
benefiting
good ones. Hopefully,
Joy
I mean,
Bus again.
what we do is we try to populate that event with restaurants from the January
Yeah.
issue and from our previous Best New Restaurants issue. So hopefully a lot of the restaurants we've been talking to for the last 45 minutes will be there.
Sure.
We'll see. And then non-company events. I mean, I love Devour, which is, the grand dame of food events
Yep.
in the Valley. And they kind of created the model I think that people love, which is get local chefs, local restaurants, owner-operated places to come out. And they do it over at the Desert Botanical Garden in February.
Yeah, I remember
So-
last year it rained and it was
Yeah.
cold on them. So
Yeah, last year was
fingers crossed for better weather for them this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, I love rain, but yeah, just not on that day. But they always do a great job. And then we have the Phoenix Open coming up.
Oh,
in a few
yeah.
weeks here, and that's
And the Phoenix Open Guide is included with also medical directory in this issue if you're a subscriber. Very cool guide. A lot of there's a fun contrast in there between the origins of the party hole on 16 and then the loneliest hole on 13 where
Yeah.
no fans seem to go.
no party apparently.
Which is,
but,
yeah. I like
Give it
that.
some love.
It's
I
the
like
thinking
that.
man's hole.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Maddie, what do you got?
I'm gonna go since Craig stole mine.
Sorry.
I'm gonna go with M3F, which is every March. It's March 3rd and 4th, first weekend of March this year. Craig and I have been talking about this for a few weeks that we don't recognize a lot of the acts this year. But I think that's just because we're getting old. Not anything against M3F.
Maybe.
I don't
I mean, we're
know.
definitely getting older. But
That
I
is
think,
true.
I think the acts are a little more idiosyncratic than in
Mhm.
previous years.
Yeah.
There's no shins. There's
Yeah.
no back.
Mhm.
That's fine. It's they're at a new venue too.
Yes. So I'm excited to check out what they're doing at Steel Indian School Park. This year, usually they're at Hance Park. They've been doing that for the past 20 years.
Mhm.
So, going into 2024 with new acts and a new venue. So
And it's a great event. It
Yeah.
always is. And
Always
it's
a good vibe.
nonprofit.
that's my favorite, local festival.
Yeah.
Festival for sure.
Yeah. I
down.
had Copper State Beer Fest, which is next Saturday. They they seem to luck out on great weather. It's January. Hopefully it's not gonna rain. It's not gonna be too cold, not gonna be too hot. Always cloudy. Great day to drink beer. We've gotten to know those guys over the last couple of years. They've been doing it.
If you're out there outdoors for like 5 hours, it is nice for it to be a little cloudy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as much as we love sun, it's like, we're not built to
It-
last
it-
here.
I think in cooler weather, you're going to tend to drink that beer a little bit slower and enjoy it, rather than our beer fest in October, which was, I think, maybe about 50 degrees warmer than it is right now.
Yeah, we didn't luck out.
We didn't lug out this year on that, but
That
we'll
was
get them
a
next
February.
year.
That was an October festival
October.
we did. What about Arizona Strong Beer Festival?
Strong beer in
February
February.
27th.
It's always a good time.
I mean,
kicks off
that's-
Arizona Beer Week.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's thrown by the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild.
Yep.
And they get everybody out.
That's always the biggest. Breweries are, I wouldn't say they're compelled to go, but it's, it's very much, you're looked at approvingly, I guess, if you do go, and if you don't, you're kind of, well, I don't know if I have time for you type thing, but,
Yeah, I agree. And that's at Talking Stick Resort.
Talking Stick again. They had it there last year. biggest beer
Wait,
festival.
I'm sorry, Salt River Field at Talking
Right,
Stick.
right,
Not
yeah,
to be
yeah,
confused with
yeah.
the casino at Talking Stick.
Right.
That can be confusing.
Yeah, it's right outside the ballpark there. It's not in the ballpark, but it's on the grounds there in the grass. That is the biggest beer fest in Arizona. It's always fun to go to.
You guys been before, ladies? No.
And you don't have to like strong beer because they've kind of dialed that back over the years. They used to require you to bring something 8% or above. A lot of breweries still do that, and they also bring the 4%ers.
I mean, it's hard to last very long when they're pouring 9-10% beer.
Yeah.
Do they have a strong cider?
Oh yeah, they have cider out there.
They go there.
Yeah. Cider. Yeah, a lot of cideries popping up. Cider Core, the one we had Beyond the Meadery. Or I guess they're mead, but there's some other cideries. Six Bird Cider's another one.
Well, a lot of the breweries are also starting to make seltzers, right?
Yeah, seltzers and non-alcoholic versions too. It's very hard to nail that down. There's a lot of extra science and chemistry that goes into trying to make a beer without alcohol. Some are pursuing it though, real well. Fate makes one.
Arizona
House
Wilderness,
makes one.
I hear, makes a really good
Yep,
one.
Wilderness has been making
I did
one.
not know this.
I visited a non-alcoholic distillery in Portland, and it was like,
Of course, it's in Portland.
are you really distilling anything? I mean,
Like an
What's the
oxymoron.
point? What's the point of that? I say that not just jokingly,
for
but like,
non-alcoholic cocktails.
okay.
But yeah, it made more sense with the non-alcoholic quote unquote whiskey, which it's hard, like you say, it's hard to synthesize all those flavors and stuff when you're doing a whiskey. So that was interesting. But then they had a non-alcoholic vodka, which isn't, all vodka is alcohol.
Right.
So they did it just tasted like water that had been infused with a couple of interesting flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the consensus was the press trip. So the consensus was that for the whiskey, the faux whiskey, it made sense. For the faux vodka, I mean, just get a rose and squeeze it into the water, you'll be fine.
Was that the focus of their business, or do they do other things?
No, that was all they did.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're non-alcoholic beer. Yeah.
Look for that.
We'll see how it goes.
That brings me to what I wanted to bring up finally. We do the mood stabilizer segment on a sidebar in the magazine every month. So let's just steal that idea and do it for the podcast. What brings you up? What brings you down? What kind of stabilizes the mood? Since you brought up, we've been talking about beer. I'll go first. What brings me up is that over the last couple of weeks, I've been working to confirm that Russian River Brewing Company is going to be distributing in Arizona coming up. From what I know, it's at the beginning of 2024, which
that hasn't been the case previously.
They're out of Northern California, and they distribute to just California, a little bit to Colorado, a little bit to Washington State, and even in like Pennsylvania. Like that's it.
Interesting.
But they're one of the best breweries in the world. They win a lot of awards. Pliny the Elder is their.
It's the
Pliny the Elder
brewery.
is their biggest beer.
Right.
They make a lot of great stuff like Mind Circus Hazy IPA. It's a fantastic brewery that gets people from all over the world to go to. It's in Santa Rosa, California, north of San Francisco. So I'm very excited for that news because it's been a long time that people have been asking about that for years and years and years on their
Pliny
social media.
is sort of the Pappy of beer.
It's a lot
scarce.
more. It's a lot easier to find now if you go to California.
Right.
Bottle shops carry it pretty because they have a second brewery.
Right.
It's in Windsor, California, that they opened about 2 or 3 years ago.
So they'll probably have it on tap here and stuff.
I would imagine you'll start to see it on tap at places like King's, Trevor's.
Yeah.
So look for
well-connected
that
tappers,
on their websites and on their social media. That's going to be a pretty big deal when they finally do show up. And from what I've heard, my sources, it'll be early 2024. So,
oh, nice. You gonna do a blog on it?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll go
I've
with
drank so many of it. It comes up in my Untapped as my number one beer.
Nice.
Mostly because I go to California maybe twice a year, and that's all we do is we just pick that up.
This sounds like the beer equivalent of what's that Hydro Flask that everyone's going crazy
Yeah,
over
the
right
Stanley.
now. I mean, I
Stanley
don't even
tumbler.
understand that. It seems like the dumbest. I'll just say it shit I've ever seen. I mean, it's like people are getting excited over a Hydro Flask. I mean, what's
It
the
keeps
deal?
your beverage cold.
That's not. But there's so
And
many
it survived
products
a
out there.
fire. That's what made it kind of go even more viral. There was a TikTok where this car, I believe it was
I
a
saw
Kia,
that.
it burned, and then people were like, the person who did the TikTok, she was like, you guys are all concerned about it spilling. Well, let's see if it survived this, and she picked it up and shook it, and it still had ice in it.
Oh.
And so the owner of
Whoa.
Stanley was like, hey, we're only doing this one time. We're going to go ahead and replace your car, and we're going to give you some more Stanleys, because everybody wanted a Stanley after that. Like, even people in the
The owner
comments.
died, but the ice is still cold. So I don't understand though. Why is it a big deal now? Is there a
And there's like a heart next to the Stanley logo.
oh,
like on
it's
this,
like a limited run?
Yeah.
Oh, the Valentine's Day ones at
Yes.
Target. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Those are the ones
And
that
an
are like.
Arizona Target went viral for a video on that earlier this
something-
week.
Good. Ish for one.
Sort of good. Like yeah, consumer frenzy.
Like, yeah. Arizona consumerism.
Yeah, our viral videos from the Phoenix area always come out of a Target for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
right.
what's going on there.
QAnon Karen.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
ripping off all the masks. And,
Yeah, that's right.
Is that your
It's
mood
where news is
stabilizer,
made.
Craig? Is that bringing you down these days?
That oh no, that's right in the middle.
Right
you
in the
kind of
middle,
look at it with bemusement, but you don't get to. Mine would be, I guess the down would be the Gilbert Goons thing. Like
yeah,
those-
wild story.
That like bully clique in Gilbert. Like, what's up with that?
and I mean, and a murder came out
Right,
of
and,
it.
well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. And it took so long to hold anybody accountable. I guess they did some good reporting over the Republic. Got to give them props for that. They're the ones who kind of blew the story open.
Unbelievable
And it took
reporting.
but the law enforcement there was no transparency. They were making no arrests. Who knows if that means they were actually doing anything? Investigations tend to be, black boxes, but it's just like, what's going on down there?
Yeah.
And this whole story clearly has not come out, so that brought me down a little.
Yeah, I have a police friend who says in a case like that that's so big and getting so much media attention, he says that everything isn't always what it seems like. From a police perspective, they want to make sure that they are completely buttoned up on the people that they're going to try to arrest and charge before they do anything, so that they don't screw it up, essentially, because it is that high profile. And I think that also means that the people, that they're looking at, the accused or the suspects, are very high profile too. So
Yeah.
not only the case, but perhaps the suspects as well.
It
So
could
they
be.
want to make sure that they're 100% sure.
Right.
Yeah, very very crazy story. What about you, Angie?
No.
My downer would be the father who lost his 5 children out there in Bullhead City from a fire. It was right before Christmas too, and I felt so bad. I wanted to cry for this person.
And they kept posting videos of the house too, like the house on fire, and it was really, I don't know, bad taste, I guess, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was just not
After the
cool.
fact, especially
Right,
when the
right.
facts came out, and
Yeah.
all the loss involved, the intensity of loss.
Yeah, that would definitely be my downer. And next week we are supposed to have cooler weather, so that's what I'm excited about.
Are you?
Yeah.
Ah, man, I don't know. I don't like the cold
already.
weather.
Colder than this?
I feel like we're in Alaska.
I think
you use your weather woman voice too. You're like, and next week we're having cooler weather.
I'll have to
get your
green
jackets
screen a
out.
forecast behind
Yes,
you.
I
on the
just
video.
love to be cold. I want to be in a hoodie and a sweat with a blanket all day,
I like
and
it.
that's
feel that.
that's my thing. And then just watch movies. Yep, cozy and stuff. So that's my up.
All right. The cold weather stabilizes Angelina. How about Morel? What's she into?
So I'll start with my down note, and that is all the stray cats that have been coming to my backyard of late. I don't know where they're coming from. We've always had stray cats in the neighborhood, but they have their ears clipped. That way we know they're spayed or neutered. But these ones, they came out of nowhere. And so that's bothering me. I believe in spaying and neutering your pet. There's a big pet population problem, as Bob Barker told us all those many years on The Price is Right. But my friend over at Catfakits I think is how she says it. Missy Pruitt is helping me with some traps, and I'm going to start trapping and spaying, neutering, and releasing them back into the wild. Maybe I'll be able to find homes for some of them. That would be an upside if I did. But for the time being, it's the stray cat. Spay and neuter your pets, people. Thank you very much. But on an upside, I am looking forward to the Mattel Adventure Park opening up sometime in 2024. That is where they're going to have 2 roller coasters. I think they're partially indoors, so they can keep them open year round, and a Barbie house, and a bunch of other things by Mattel. I don't even know, but I'm most
Field
excited
trip.
about those.
There you go.
Those roller
Bring on the press
coasters.
trip again.
I'm gonna get a season pass or something, or a year pass since it is open.
I remember, seeing the big, there seemed to be headlines on that place every week when the Barbie movie was out and big last summer. I think they missed their opportunity there, unless there's a sequel to Barbie coming out.
Right.
But it seems like, man, you guys should have built this a year or 2 ahead of time. And
Mm-hmm.
It has legs, though.
yeah,
They were supposed to have it ready
Barbie
for the
has
Super
legs.
Bowl, right? Weren't they supposed to have it ready
Oh,
for the Super Bowl?
Resort was
Yeah,
supposed to be ready. I don't even know if is that.
it's not. Yeah,
no, I don't think so.
Supposedly late.
Are there roller coasters?
the same resort.
They're
It's-
next door to each other. I don't know if it's the same property. That's unclear to me. But they're basically we share.
Yeah, it's all that
Ground, yeah.
area right there by the stadium,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cardinal Stadium. Man, so much construction going on out there. They're building up. What about Maddie?
I am going to go with, and also plug the blog, Desert Digest. Every month we do a kind of state of affairs of restaurants in the valley, ones that have opened and closed in the previous month. So last month we lost a lot of good ones. Teddy's Preserve, RIP, Pickle
Virtue Club, right.
But the good news is we usually have a lot more that open than
Yeah.
closed. So be sure to check that out this week.
Check which
That-
one out?
Openings and closings on the blog.
Oh yeah, it's a good.
That's
yeah.
coming out this week. I like
Hey,
it.
I have to add, you were depressed by Stray Cats, right?
Yes.
It brought you down?
Yes.
I just looked online. Former Stray Cats lead singer Brian Seltzer is playing in Phoenix on February 28th. Maybe the Stray Cats could bring you up and bring you down in true mood stabilizer fashion.
Is that one of those things?
I
Are
would love to see him live.
are
I
the
think
Stray
he puts
Cats
on a really great
rising up
show.
because of
Excellent
Brian
performer.
Seltzer coming?
That could be it. Maybe he has a Spider-Man power
Yeah.
over Stray Cats.
Right.
He's playing at the Celebrity Theater in the round
Oh, I
There,
love that. One
yeah,
of my
it's a-
favorite venues.
on the February 28th. Who knew?
I'm gonna have to look into that.
I had
Oh,
a, I had
thank
a,
you,
I had
my
a sense. I'm like,
friend.
there's got to be a Stray Cats thread I could play with here on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Maybe you could bring him some of your Stray Cats there and
It
Accost
would be great
him,
if he could do something about them, like take them with him on tour. They could do roadies. They got to be good for something, you know?
Right. We had recently Voodoo Donuts, popular import from Portland, open up in Tempe. You guys have any insight on anything big coming in down the line in 2024 that people might be excited for?
like big national
Yeah.
chains type thing
Yeah.
or brands. I don't know.
Giada's opening a restaurant.
Who,
I love
Giada?
her. Giada?
Oh,
yeah.
De Laurentiis.
yeah, De
Yes.
Laurentiis.
Yeah,
right,
from the
right.
Food Channel.
Yes.
She's opening a restaurant or a restaurant at the Caesar Palace Hotel in Old Town near Fashion Square, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happening sometime. They always give you a estimated date of arrival for these big hotel projects, and it's always like a year after.
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure.
So who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, right. She's coming. Yeah,
Yeah, and even the smallest of places will think they're opening in, say, in March, and they just push back to September. Even like Pedal House Brewery was supposed to open a Mesa location like 3 years ago, and they're still kind of working out. There's nothing on that lot, right across from. There's a PXG golf store there.
right.
It's supposed to be right next door, and there's just nothing there yet.
Right.
And Cornish Pasty is supposed to be opening in downtown Glendale, which I'm also excited
Ooh.
about. But I asked the owner, Dean Thomas, like, okay, what's the date? And he goes, well, maybe April.
Yeah.
It's like, but
He
you
just
know,
opened one in
things happen.
Jerome like last month.
Oh,
Yeah,
neat.
yeah. He
Good
also
spot for
we
it.
interviewed him in the cover story.
Yeah.
To circle it back. He's our British cuisine guy because
Sure.
Cornish pasty, and it's probably the most appetizing British cuisine
Mm-hmm.
there is, right? Which isn't saying a whole lot. But he said he also opened a Mexican restaurant in his hometown in Cornwall, back in England. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What what are the challenges of opening a Mexican restaurant in England? Can you source all the things you need? So yeah, you can find the chilies. The only thing he couldn't get out there was cotija cheese.
Yeah.
So he makes his own cotija cheese. In
Interesting.
England, yeah, it's like milk, and then you add a little bit of citrus, curdle it artfully, and then you turn it into tortilla. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was neat.
Maddie, did you give us your bummer yet?
Restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Mine was like a
Closings.
happy and sad at the same time.
Comboed it.
okay. That was a
Yin
full-
and yang.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clever. Oh, this is you.
I know you didn't even catch it the first time.
know,
It was so
it's
subtle.
That's what we do at Phoenix Mag. We're just efficient that way, right? All right. So great interview, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Great issue. Make sure to check it out on newsstands now. The January, February issue, Dine Around the World Without Leaving the Valley. 99 different nations. Congrats on the issue, guys.
Oh, should we
Thank
talk
you.
about the spine?
Love that.
Sorry to cut you
Oh, yeah.
off.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
The spine. You might notice it's a little different this month. Every month we are going to add a little bit more of a bigger illustration. That will we do it for
Ooh.
the 2 years of Phoenix Magazine. So that's 12 issues when they come out. That's just the regular issue, not our special issue. So when you stack them up, you'll see a full visual narrative.
You got a piece of a puzzle right here. I like it.
Can
And I can
anybody guess
see
what it is?
I can see little like a cactus, couple cacti.
Surprise, surprise! There is a cactus in our illustration of Phoenix. Not to blow the surprise, but yeah, there's other stuff in there too. But yes,
Great,
cactuses
great.
make it.
I like that. So make sure to collect issues over the next 2 years. So this is the first piece
That's the
here.
first
Doesn't
of
go back to
12,
last year.
yep.
All right, I like it. I like it. Well, thanks, guys.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you, Matt.
making time coming in, and make sure to check out the new issue on newsstands now.
Say a new to your
Thank
pet. Good night, everybody.
you.